In this video I'm going to show you how to evaluate the following expressions, and you can see there are 4 examples. To assist with our calculations we're going to use this memory aid here, BODMAS. The letter B should remind us that we should calculate the contents of brackets first. The O of reminds us that we're dealing with powers and we should do them next. Then we should do divide, followed by multiply, followed by add, followed by subtract. Let's have a look at the first example. We have 7 times 3 plus 4 minus 2. Now clearly, according to BODMAS, the M comes before the A and the S, which means multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. So we will do this multiplication first, and you can see that will give us 21. Then we add the 4 and the minus 2. Now according to BODMAS, the addition is a higher priority than the subtraction. So to the 21 we will add the 4 to give us 25, then we subtract the 2, and of course 25 minus 2 gives us 23. Let's have a go at doing the same example again. We have 7 times 3 plus 4 minus 2. Now of course I'm going to have to do the 7 times 3 first, because multiplication comes before addition and subtraction, as we've already seen in the previous example. So this becomes 21 plus 4 minus 2. What I'm going to do differently now, however, I'm going to do this subtraction before any addition, and consequently 4 minus 2 gives me 2. And then of course I add this 2 to the 21 to give me 23. So you can see that although I've done multiplication first, the order in which I did the addition and subtraction didn't matter. Now this comes down to some extent to common sense. This BODMAS is a useful memory aid, but you can apply common sense to decide whether you do addition or subtraction first, for example. But it's clear that you have to do the multiplication first. And sometimes when you're looking at expressions like this, you'll see that you have to do division before multiplication, but in some instances you'll find you can actually do the multiplication before the division. So you don't take this memory aid too literally, but for my money this is the best thing to start off with. Use BODMAS. You will always get the right answer if you follow this particular approach of doing brackets, doing powers, divide, multiply, add and subtract. Let's have a go at the second example. You can see we have an open bracket, 3 times 2 minus 1, then a closed bracket, and that's then multiplied by 3 to the power 2. Well, the first thing we need to do is to work on the brackets. And within the brackets, I'm going to do the 3 times the 2 first. And of course, that will give me 6, and then I'll write down the minus 1, and I'll then multiply this by 3 to the power 2. And you can see I've got brackets around the 6 minus 1. And of course, I complete the brackets in the next step, because 6 minus 1 is 5, and of course that's then multiplied by 3 to the 2. The next step is to do the powers, because that comes next in BODMAS. The O of stands for powers, and of course 3 to the 2 is 9. And consequently I now end up with the 5 times the 9 to give the answer of 45. Let's have a look at the third example. Now the first thing we should note here is there are 2 sets of brackets. We have these inner brackets here and we have these outer brackets. What we have to do whenever we see this, we work on the inner brackets first. In other words, we calculate what's in here first. And clearly this is 3 plus 1. So we write out on the following, we open the brackets and then we have the 4, which is brought down from above, and that's then multiplied by 2. We then close the brackets and then we divide by 2. We then do the brackets, which we can clearly see is 4 times 2, which obviously gives us 8. Then we divide by 2, and of course 8 divided by 2 gives us 4. Before we have a go at the fourth example, I want to have a look at the square root of 16. Now the square root of 16 can be written as 16 to the power of 1/2. It means the same thing. If you take the square root of any number, it's that number raised to the power of 1/2. So if we want to consider the square root and where it belongs in the word BODMAS, then it's clearly to do with powers. So it is the O of BODMAS. In other words, we do the brackets first, then we do powers. And the square root is an example of something raised to a power. So after we've done the brackets, we do the square roots. So for example, square roots come before division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. Well, for the fourth example, we need to do the brackets first. So we write down the square root of 16 divided by, and of course 2 times 2 is 4, so we can see we have 4 in the brackets. Now we then do the square root. The square root of 16 is 4, and that of course gets divided by the 4. And you can see I've removed the brackets from around the 4. In fact, I needn't have put them in the previous step, but I was just emphasizing the fact that I was working out the brackets. And of course 4 divided by 4 is 1. Check out the supporting website for these videos, and also consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and get an automatic update every time I upload a new video. Also consider subscribing to the Google Plus circle that relates to these videos.